Help me reach 1,000 subscribers. I used to think trust was simple, something steady, unshakable. I never imagined that the person I planned to spend my life with could blur the lines between friendship and intimacy, so quietly that it would leave me questioning everything I believed in. My fiancé and I had built what I thought was a stable, comfortable life. The apartment felt like ours, every routine familiar, every moment secure. But then there was him, her so-called work husband, as she liked to joke. Except the joke never sounded funny to me. He was always around, showing up for dinners, tagging along for weekend outings, even stopping by the apartment when I wasn't there. I tried to laugh it off, to convince myself it was harmless, that this was just how close colleagues acted. Yet, no matter how hard I tried, the ache in my chest never left. Then came the comments. "You're so insecure," she said one evening after I asked why he knew my coffee order better than she did. "It's ridiculous how worried you get." I forced a smile, pretending her words didn't sting, burying the unease twisting in my gut. I told myself I was overreacting, that maybe I was being dramatic. But deep down I knew something was slipping. The trust one once took for granted had started to fray. Every laugh they shared, every glance that lingered a second too long, it all tightened the knot of doubt in my chest. I grew quiet, careful. I spoke only when needed, choosing my words like glass, measured, delicate, without accusation. I wanted her to see me as composed, calm, unshaken, even though inside it was anything but calm. And then came the moment that shattered the illusion. A single look she didn't know I caught. A quiet comment not meant for me but sharp enough to cut straight through. It was a still evening, the kind of night meant for peace. Instead, I watched from across the room as they laughed over something I couldn't hear but somehow felt deep in my bones. I told myself to stay still, to let my silence speak louder than any confrontation could. When I finally approached her, it wasn't with anger, it was with clarity. She brushed it off, smiling lightly. "You're reading too much into it," she teased. But I had seen enough to know the truth. Whatever she called friendship had already crossed the line into betrayal. I didn't shout or beg. I didn't demand an explanation. I just asked the questions that mattered. "Are we on the same page? Am I enough for you?" Her eyes flickered, guilt flashing there for only a heartbeat. In that instant I realized how much weight I'd carried alone, how much I'd forgiven and excused under the name of love. The next few days tested every ounce of restraint in me. I stayed calm, followed the same routines, and let the truth reveal itself. And slowly it did. The little signs, the unexplained absences, the secretive texts, the laughter that didn't belong to me anymore. Each one became a thread in a pattern I could no longer ignore. I didn't meet it with drama. Drama gives chaos power. Instead, I answered it with silence, with composure, with the quiet dignity of someone who refuses to be broken by deceit. And in that stillness, the cracks in our relationship became clear, harsh, undeniable, beyond repair. The end didn't come with a fight or tears. It came quietly. She tried to play it off, to laugh, to explain it all away. But her words couldn't patch what had already fallen apart. I stood there, calm, steady, letting my silence weigh more than her excuses ever could. I packed my things carefully, leaving behind nothing but the echo of what we once had. No slammed doors, no goodbyes, just quiet closure. I walked out not as a man defeated, but as someone reclaiming the self-respect he refused to lose. Days later I saw the aftermath. The lightness she'd flaunted, the laughter she thought meant nothing. It all began to crumble. And though part of me wondered if I should seek closure, I didn't. I chose peace instead. Because sometimes strength isn't in fighting to stay. It's in walking away with grace. In that calm departure I found more than freedom. I found myself. The peace of knowing I didn't compromise who I was for someone else's carelessness. Regret doesn't always arrive loud. It creeps in softly, like the echo of a truth you tried to ignore. You can't force respect. You can't demand honesty. And you can't build loyalty where it doesn't exist. Now I move forward, measured, steady, free. The love I once poured into someone else's uncertainty now fuels something purer. Self-worth, clarity, and quiet strength. And in that silence I found what I'd been missing all along: dignity, peace, and the unshakable truth that sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is simply walk away.